I only found that by accident. But combat camera, they roam all over the place. So, most, like if you're on an A team, you might be in one battle space, or maybe depending on what your job is, you might be roaming around, or you might be in one place mentoring some IPs or something like that, right? But combat camera, they will be going they might shoot over to Afghanistan. They might be down in the Philippines. Then they might be in Iraq, down in Basra and Mosul and out in Anbar. So they start to get a feel for different places. So actually combat camera was key. Combat camera, chaplains, special operations types. And again, over in Afghanistan, I like to talk to like captains and that level, and company commanders. And then I would talk with generals, as well. But once you spend enough time on the ground with people, then you know what questions you should even be asking generals. But actually in Afghanistan, I spent 2 years there, but a year of that was unembedded, right? I was just out running around in like literally helmet, Kandahar, up in the north, Mazar-e Sharif, Nangarhar. I was out, so many Nimruz. I was in so many different places all over Afghanistan, unembedded for a year, right? It's funny because that often I would run into patrols out there. They might be SF. I remember one time I came across some Marines, and every time I ran into somebody like SF, they'd be like, "Hey, there you are. I mean, we were told you were right around here somewhere," because they'll be tracking me, right? They'd be tracking my phone and stuff because I give them my IMEI number, and I don't want to get bombed, right? And so I remember I came across these Marines one time. They're like, "Wow, I mean, there you are." And then they immediately called me up and, called up, "Hey, he's here. He's okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, guess what?" And they're like, they're always like, "You're crazy. What are you doing out here alone?" I said, "Listen, let me tell you what. Let me tell you how many times I've been shot at when I'm alone. 0. I've never been shot at when I'm alone. But when I'm with you, I mean, Mr. Bullet Magnet, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like the vehicles are on fire, you know what I mean? And tires are burning, you know what I mean? We got firefights and A-10s rolling in, but I never got into a single firefight when I was alone. Well, here in Bangkok, I did quite a few, but not in Afghanistan.
The exception to the rule.
Oh, yeah. And this was no kidding dangerous, actually. And there was quite a few people got killed here, and I was in both of the coups in 2010 and 14. What's that?
I said that was terrible.
It was quite dangerous here, but I mean, but it's interesting. So many things you learn about wars and conflict. For instance, let's say here in Thailand, I left Afghanistan, I came straight to Thailand, right into fighting. Right, that was 2010. And then I was here for the 2014 coup as well. But one of the things you see in here in Thailand was there would be a lot of fighting. I mean, deadly fighting and lots of casualties and injuries and fatalities. And then just like 2 streets away, people are eating on the streets like nothing's happening, man. I mean, like, you're like, I can't believe this. I mean, they're literally going kinetic 2 streets over, and they're sitting down here just ordering Tom Yum Goong. And yeah, I mean, I saw that over and over. It was like the norm. And likewise in Hong Kong, like I was there, the fighting wasn't deadly. There wasn't that many people killed, just a few, actually. There was a lot of injuries, but I was there for 7 months. And so until they sort of deported me from Hong Kong. But again, it was similar. There would be a lot of very serious street protests, literally thousands of Molotovs being thrown. I mean, thousands, man, like shooting stars. I got lots of video of things like that. And then like a street or two over, everybody's just going about their business, shopping, you know what I mean? It's just so weird. And then the next day after these big fights in the streets, it would be like the tide came in and washed it all away. And if you didn't know there was fighting there a day or two ago, and you didn't know that that's a grenade hole in the street, you know what I mean? Or not Hong Kong. There was no grenades went off in Hong Kong. But there was a lot of grenades went off here, right? M79s and hand grenades and even RPGs at times, and a lot of small arms. But if you didn't know that's where the grenade went off a couple of days ago, you would have no idea. You'd just be, there's a hole in the road. Looks like there's frags coming, but what I'm getting to is it would just be like the tide would come and wash it away. It's just interesting how the city kind of instantly heals itself. It's weird.
Is that something that, like, because I always think to myself that, like, American civilians have no concept of what that is. So they don't, being that they don't have any concept of, like, ordering a Danish and 2 blocks away is madness and strife. It doesn't give them perspective. So because they don't have the perspective, they just assume these feelings and this is what we should do, as opposed to, like, the pragmatic, like, time out, what is going on in our country? Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah, and actually, I'd like to expound on that. This is really interesting because I spend most of my life overseas, right, in
Right.
about 100 countries. So I've got a good baseline of different countries, and like in the United States, you'll hear sirens all the time, right? I mean, how many times a day do you hear sirens, whether it's police or fire or ambulance? Over in Japan, I was just over in Okinawa. I was there for like 3 weeks. I only saw cops like twice. I was actually over there for more than a month in this last trip. But I was over in the first 3 weeks. I think I saw 1 cop car. You know what I mean? And I didn't hear. And every once in a while, I'd hear a siren. Like, I don't know, enough that it's so uncommon that you're like, hey, there's a siren. Whereas in America, it can be every hour. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And loud sirens in America, and Thailand similar. Like I've been here for about a week this time, right? And I haven't heard 1 siren. And, it's just like, and anyway. And so, when there would be deaths in the streets, if this was the United States, this stuff would be locked down for blocks, man. It'd be crime tape everywhere. It'd be like, get out, get away, get back, sir. With like, here it's totally different, right? It's totally, in most of the countries I go to, they're not as, let's say, ultra hyper vigilant to the point where it's insane. That's why I think the United States will be very easy to just super ultra lock down, because 1 IED goes off on a road, they're going to lock that thing down for 5 miles. It'll be, from this exit to that exit, everything will be locked down for a whole day or 2. You know what I'm saying? And you've been in war. You know how many IEDs there are out there. It's a lot, right? I mean, and whether it's real or hoax IEDs or whatever, or ambushes or whatever, if when that would happen in Thailand, the stuff would happen and the stuff would instantly open right back up, right? And similar in Nepal, instantly open right back up. I know what's going to happen in America. It'll just be locked down. It'll be, checkpoints everywhere, like you're in Baghdad or something. Of course, you remember how locked down Baghdad was, 1 checkpoint.